sabía que? Hicieron una historia falsa del fundador de KFC, el Coronel Sanders, y se hizo viral en segundos? Y esto es lo que tú no sabías de Harlan David Sanders, el anciano que fundó KFC. Antes de empezar con la verdadera historia del fundador de KFC, el Coronel Harlan David Sanders, vamos a recordar un poco acerca de la falsa biografía que inventaron los cibernautas acerca de su vida. En una página de Facebook compartieron una historia motivacional del Coronel Sanders, el fundador de lo que hoy es una conocida cadena de comida rápida. En menos de 48 horas, dicho post fue compartido más de 700 veces. Y su historia falsa se narra de la siguiente manera. La publicación cuenta que Harlan David Sanders, su verdadero nombre, dejó de estudiar a los 16 y a los 17 años ya había perdido más de 4 trabajos. Él se jubiló a los 65, supuestamente. Pero esto no sería todo el post del falso relato que habían inventado sobre el Coronel Sanders. Se dice también que esta es la verdadera biografía de cómo el Coronel Sanders fundó Kentucky Fried Chicken después de su jubilación.
It is said in the Facebook publication that, at 5 years old, his father died. At 16 he stopped studying. At 17 he had already lost more than 4 jobs. At 18 she got married. Between 18 and 22 he worked as a driver and failed. He joined the army and was rejected. He tried to enter the judicial school and was rejected too. He became a failure as an insurance salesman. At the age of 25, his wife left him and took his only daughter. He turned the dishwasher into a small cafeteria. He failed to get his daughter back, but eventually convinced his wife to return home. At 65, he obtained his retirement. On the first day of his retirement, the government gave him a check for $105, realizing that he couldn't even support himself. He thought about committing suicide because he was tormented by having had a life full of failures. He sat under a tree to write his will, but realized there was something he hadn't done yet, and that was cook. With the dollars the government gave him, he bought a deep fryer, made fried chicken using a recipe his grandmother taught him, and sold it door to door in his town near Kentucky. At 88, Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC, was a billionaire. And you, with a single failure, do you want to quit? Life will test you as many times as necessary, even when you are ready to receive everything it has for you. So don't complain and move on.
Es una historia de motivación muy buena, pero no realista. Y no es como lo describen. Al tratarse de una persona fallecida, revisamos la biografía de Harlan David Sanders, recogida en la página web de Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. En el artículo se explica que Harlan David Sanders nació en una comunidad agrícola de Henryville, Indiana, el 9 de septiembre de 1890, y sus padres eran Wilbert Sanders, un carnicero, y Margaret Ann Dunleavy, una ama de casa. Sanders fue el hijo mayor de 3 hermanos, la cual tenía ascendencia irlandesa. David Sanders dejó la escuela en sexto grado, con el propósito de ganar dinero, para su madre y para sus hermanos, después de la muerte de su padre, en otras palabras, alrededor de los 11 o 12 años. En 1930, abrió una estación de servicio y agregó pollo frito al menú. Puede leerse en la breve biografía que aparece en la página web de KFC. Esto coincide con un artículo de la agencia de noticias estadounidense Associated Press, publicado el 1 de enero de 1997. Claudia, viuda del fundador de KFC, trabajó como camarera en el primer restaurante en Corbin, perteneciente a Harlan David, el Café Sanders. Antes de casarse con él, durante la década de 1930, es decir, cuando el norteamericano tenía entre 40 y 50 años. Su pollo frito era tan popular, que el gobernador Ruby Laffin lo nombra Coronel de Kentucky. Entonces, es falso que empezara a vender pollo frito a los 65 años. ¿Qué es lo que sucede después que Sanders cumple esa edad? Comienza a realizar franquicias de su restaurante, en 1955. En otros términos, autorizaba la utilización de la marca y los métodos de negocio a cambio de una tarifa periódica. Para 1963, los Sanders tenían 600 puntos de venta de pollo y recibían alrededor de $1,000 por día. Because the Post indicates that he started selling fried chicken after the age of 65 and there are inaccuracies in the data, it is concluded that the Facebook post is false. But his business success is still considered a symbol of the American dream, at least among some entrepreneurs. However, there are curious data that have not been published until now. One of them is that, once, I shoot someone for defending their own brand. On one occasion, Sanders painted a large sign to attract potential customers to a roadside gas station, which would eventually become a Sanders-owned coffee shop. However, he angered a rival gas station owner, Matt Stewart. The man painted over the sign of Sanders, who threatened to blow his head off and then read the sign. When Sanders discovered that Stewart had repainted on the sign, he pursued him at gunpoint. The gas station manager was killed in the altercation, and Stewart was shot in the shoulder. Stewart went to jail for wrongful death. Recently, KFC has taken up the story as a funny anecdote. The gastronomic criticism that he had benefited him. His fame skyrocketed in 1939 thanks to food critic Duncan Hines, who included it in his restaurant guide. In all that time, the demand for chicken grew, and Sanders took advantage of his success to open a motel, the first in Kentucky. But World War II forced a temporary closure of the station due to gasoline rationing. In the early 1950s, he sold the motel for just under $75,000, as the construction of Interstate 75 would reduce traffic on the highway where his premises were located. At the age of 60, he took advantage of his fried chicken fame and expanded his business through franchises, under the name Kentucky Fried Chicken. He was unfaithful to several of his ex-wives. KFC is highlighting some of the Colonel's traits as fun attributes. However, a detail that he has decided to ignore is the fact that his founder was unfaithful with the waitresses of his restaurants. One of them, Claudia Leddington, was the one who supported him to transform his cafeteria into the brand it is today. He would marry her after leaving her first wife, but Claudia was also unfaithful on several occasions. His biographer John Ed Pierce claims that if Sander were alive today, his name would have appeared in the Ashley Madison cheating site scandal. A feature that today would be too troublesome for a spokesperson for a very family-run restaurant. Another information that was not recorded in his biography is that KFC uses another secret recipe and not the one from Colonel Sanders. Few people really know what ingredients Sanders used in his 11-herb chicken fry mix. However, the Colonel claimed several times in his life that KFC stopped using his original recipe. It is difficult to prove since KFC is suspicious of his recipe, although he claims to have a handwritten list by the Colonel himself with the 11 herbs he used. To date, the document is kept in a high-security vault, and the firm uses 2 different suppliers for the spices so that the secret is not revealed. Whether or not it was true that KFC used the original recipe, the Colonel publicly disapproved of the chain's menu. What's more, in 1970, the New Yorker magazine quoted him saying, he wouldn't give her the KFC chicken, or his dogs. Only obtained $2 million from the sale of KFC. Sanders sold his brand in 1964, after KFC went from a single coffee shop to a franchise concept. The reason? By then he was 74 years old, and he believed he no longer had the energy to grow his business. For the time, selling the brand for $2 million, plus a lifetime salary for being the brand's spokesperson, wasn't a bad deal. But when the company started to make millions off the stock market, Sanders felt ripped off. At a franchise convention, the Colonel spent 40 minutes complaining on stage about the mismanagement of the company. He never gave up on his brand, but he lived the rest of his days believing he had been tricked into selling his business. They should wash their hands well, wear face masks and take their due distance. The slogan that has accompanied the company for more than 64 years, explained that, they do not feel well at all. This was reported through a statement published on the company's website. We are in a unique situation. We have an iconic slogan that doesn't quite fit in today's environment. Explained Catherine Tan Gillespie, KFC's global marketing director. This was the last message sent by the company, KFC. Until now, returning to the previous topic on Colonel Sanders, I would dare to say what for many, Harlan David Sanders, is an example to follow. and for others a clear example of perseverance. And well, this was the whole bio of him that they didn't tell about the founder of KFC, Harlan David Sanders. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell for more content. See you in the next video.